Our topic is about major hardware and software components and its functions. Our subject is ITE 6202 Information Management. Okay, so at the end of the discussion, you students will be able to first identify and enumerate the components of the computer hardware and its functions. Second, cite the advantage and the disadvantages of investing in hardware. And third, know the pros and the cons of purchasing a computer hardware. Okay, so let's begin with defining a computer hardware. So computer hardware, that is the physical components that a computer system requires to function. It encompasses everything with a circuit board that operates within a PC or a laptop, including the motherboard, the graphic card, the central processing unit, ventilation fans, webcam, power supply, and so on. So those are some of the components of the computer hardware. So that is the example of computer hardware. We have the motherboard. Computer hardware, in addition, are the bits and pieces that makes up a computer. So hardware requires software to run correctly. Without the correct hardware, your software may not run efficiently or at all. So it is important to consider both when making decisions about your IT systems, as this can affect the way you work, your productivity, and your business bottom line. So what are the advantages of investing in hardware? So before buying any hardware, you should first consider what benefits it might bring to your business. So this might affect what type of hardware you choose. So for example, certain types of computer hardware could help you. First, reduce costs. So by automating a routine tasks such as record keeping, accounting, and payroll. Then second, it improves customer service or supplier relationship. Then it also develop more effective communication. Communication to you as a supplier and to the customer. And then it also increases business efficiency and stock productivity. So since everything is automated, we can now easily process, for example, the order of the customer, or we can also process easily the salary of the employee, so that it increase business efficiency. And then it increase also employee morale. So since everything is automated, for example, the attendance of the employee cannot be cheated or cannot be changed. Then expand your business offer or reach new markets. And then of course, it develop a competitive advantage. So if you're using a good hardware, that is your advantage towards your competitors. So those are the advantages of investing in hardware. So choosing computer hardware for your business. So with so many options available, so choosing computer hardware for your business can be difficult. You will have to keep in mind first your current and your future hardware needs. So what are your needs? Do you need a lower specification hardware or you need a higher one? Then potential compatibility issues. Does the software you use is compatible with the hardware you purchase? And of course, security concerns. So it cannot be easily hacked. Thus your system or your hardware can be easily hacked. And of course, you need to consider your long-term IT strategy. So that software and hardware can be used for long-term. So those are the things to consider computer hardware for your business. So how do you assess computer hardware needs? So to assess your needs, look at how you intend to use computers in your business. Think about, for example, the tasks you plan to computerize, or example, the record keeping, the payroll, invoicing, and advertising, or your basic requirements. Example, the networking equipment, the operating system or software, and then your business specific requirements. Example, we have the web servers for the e-commerce business. Okay, so to assess computer hardware needs, we need to first consider the compatibility. So compatibility tells something about when choosing a hardware, make sure that any new or replacement components are compatible with your existing computer equipment. So consider the overall cost, including if it might be cheaper to install a new system rather than upgrade the existing components. So you have to consider that one. That is compatibility. The next one is security. So hardware theft or loss is a potential business risk. So whether by accident or malicious intent, loss of laptop or mobile device or storage devices such as hard drives can jeopardize your business data security. So you should take steps to protect both the hardware and data against a potential breach. So that is security. Next is long-term IT strategy. So your IT strategy should take into account any future changes in your market, so your employees and your products or services. So if possible, integrate hardware refresh and software rollout strategies in your business. So when choosing a new hardware for your business, it's good practice to keep a list of purchase dates, and cost of hardware for accountancy, tax, warranty, and insurance purposes. So that is long-term IT strategy. Okay, the next one is hardware life expectancy. So life expectancy for some computer hardware parts is 3 to 4 years. So at some point, your hardware may fail or it may become too old to perform adequately for your needs. So many businesses work on a hardware replacement cycle or about 3 to 4 years for desktop PCs and 5 years for servers. And then you also consider the disposal of the old hardware. So before you dispose of old hardware, it is important to delete any confidential or sensitive data. You can do this by either securely wiping the data or removing and physically destroying the storage drives that holds the data. So you should dispose all hardware in an environmental friendly way. So in some cases, the manufacturer can arrange a free collection from you. So retailers or suppliers may charge you to dispose of the equipment. So those are the things to consider in assessing your computer hardware needs. We have compatibility, security, long-term IT strategy, hardware life expectancy, and disposal of old hardware. So purchasing or leasing a computer hardware. So we have also the pros and the cons, or the advantages and the disadvantages. So when it comes to acquiring a new hardware for your business, finance is one of the key things you will have to consider. So typically, your options will be buying outright, hire or purchase or leasing. But sometimes we fall with buying. So if you want to own the equipment outright, you can buy it in full, your own money, or use a bank loan or overdraft to purchase it. So the advantages of buying outright include, first, having full ownership of the assets. So you have your own, that's your property, already a property. Then the ability to deduct or write the value of the assets for tax purposes. So you can deduct the expenses to your assets. And then the ability to use or alter the equipment as you wish. So you can alter, you can customize it, you can change it, the equipment you purchase. Then of course, we have also the cons or the disadvantages. So the disadvantages of buying outright include, first, paying the full cost upfront. So of course, you need to spend money from your assets. So next, possibly having to source a loan to cover the costs. So you have another option. Aside from getting the money from your asset, you can have a loan from the bank. Then, having to maintain or repair the equipment yourself, which can be costly or impractical. So you need to hire a technician for them to repair the hardware, and then losing value over time. So hardware depreciates quickly and may become obsolete after a few years, requiring a further investment. So those are the disadvantages. So that is under outright. Then we have also leasing. So leasing allows you to rent computer equipment for a monthly fee. So you enter a contract with a leasing provider, and at the end of the agreed term, you typically either, first, give the equipment back or extend the lease if you wish to keep using it. I think some businesses do not use or do not apply leasing when having a computer hardware. They prefer the first one, that is outright. So pros and cons. So depending on the leasing company, you may also agree to buy the assets at the end of the lease. So leasing has several distinct benefits. First, it allows you to use assets without actually owning them. So since you did not purchase the hardware equipment, you just rent it, you can have the budget. You can use that one on the other for the other means. So it allows you to use assets without actually owning them, and then it doesn't tie up your funds in an outright purchase. Then it minimizes maintenance costs. So the lender is typically responsible for any upkeep. So not just like with the outright, you are the one who will shoulder for the cost of the maintenance. And then it is more flexible and makes it easier to upgrade your equipment. Then it is considered an operating cost. So you can write it off against profits. So leasing may be worth considering if the equipment you need is likely to date quickly, or if you are looking for a short-term commitment. So that is the maybe the advantage of having the leasing. However, leasing over long-term may not be cost-effective, as you may end up paying more than the equipment is worth. So better if that is short-term, you use leasing. If that is for long-term, better use the outright. And then we have also the hire purchase. So hire purchase allows you to buy IT equipment on finance using monthly payments rather than a lump sum. So it's just like a loan. So typically, the payments cover the purchase price as well as a fee for the lender. So at the end of the agreed hire purchase term, you own the asset in full. So it's just like a leasing, but the only difference is when when the agreed term is ended, you can have the hardware as full. You can own it. You can own the asset in full. So the advantages of hire purchase agreements include flexibility and scalability. So they allow you to first spread fixed costs over time. So which is easier on your cash flow than an upfront payment. Then maximize your tax relief via capital allowances or you can seek accountant's advice. Then have maintenance, repairs, and servicing as part of the deal. Then enter into a new contract at the end of the original term to upgrade or replace equipment. So as with other options, there are disadvantages to hire purchase. So some of the advantages, we have the equipment's overall cost may be greater than if you purchase it outright. Of course, since that is just like an installment basis. Then there can also be more administration involved. The equipment remains the property of the supplier until the final payment is settled. And then by the time you pay the equipment or pay off the equipment, it may be obsolete. So when deciding if you should buy or lease your computer hardware equipment, it is important to take into your account your needs around hardware installation, maintenance, and support. So those are the three pros and cons. We have the outright, the hire purchase, and we have also the leasing. So those three. Okay, so let's proceed with the computer hardware components and specifications. So PC hardware such as the desktop computer is the most common type of IT hardware purchased by small business. So the cost of hardware depends on its specifications, which in turn is determined by some key components. So when you buy PC hardware, you need to decide what the specification of these key components should be. So when choosing a computer, choosing a motherboard, it is important to check what hardware ports the motherboard supply for you to use when you need to upgrade your computer or the components of your computer. Then it's vital to check how many USB ports and what grade, let's say USB 2.0, 3.0, 3.1, they are, as well as the display port are used. It can be an HDMI, DVI, or RGB, and how many of each there are. Then, the CPU or the central processing unit or processor is responsible for processing all information from programs run by your computer. So the processor is the driver of the computer. So processors are usually differentiated by speed measured in gigahertz. So this means that a processor advertising a high gigahertz rating will likely perform faster than a similarly specified processor of the same brand and age. So meaning the higher the gigahertz, the faster your computer is. So that is the computer hardware. We have the CPU or the central processing unit. Okay, let's proceed with the RAM or the random access memory. So a RAM is hardware found in the memory slot of the motherboard. So it's still a component of motherboard. So the role of RAM is temporarily store on-the-fly information created by programs and to do so in a way that makes this data immediately accessible. So the tasks that require a random memory could be rendering images for graphic design, edited video or photographs, and then of course, multitasking with multiple apps open. Okay, so that is the actual image of the RAM. And then let's proceed with the hard drive. So the hard drive is a storage device responsible for storing permanent and temporary data. So this data comes in many different forms, but is essentially anything saved or installed to a computer. So for example, the computer programs, the family photos, the operating systems, the word processing documents are all stored in a hard drive. So a typical office computer will have at least 500 gigabytes of hard disk space. So you can also use external plugins such as the USB memory stick and portable external hard drives to supplement your computer's storage requirements. So as you can see in the image, that is the example of the hard drive, or that is SSD, solid state drive, hard drive. Okay, so let's proceed with the peripherals. So peripherals. So the monitor is the computer's display screen that is under the peripheral device. So liquid crystal display or the LCD or the flat screen monitor offer reduced bulk and lower power consumption relative to the older style, which is the cathode ray tube or the CRT. So better to use LCD monitor. Then we have also the computer mouse. So we can have the wired mouse or the wireless mouse. And then we have also the keyboard. So the keyboard and the mouse usually come as part of a bundle. So, but you may be able to select a wireless devices that make desktops neater. So it lessens the wire. And then we have you can also use include a scanner, printer. We have also the camera and the microphone. So for this scanner and printer, you can do not use a separate one. We have now the 3-in-1 printer, which include the scanner. So it is wiser to purchase the 3-in-1. It lessen the cost. Okay, desktop. Let's proceed with desktop or laptop device for business. So there are two types of computer that you might need for your business. We have the desktop PCs and the laptop. Okay, so let's proceed first with the advantage of the desktop computers. So desktop PCs are generally more durable than laptops, an important factor in a busy office. So desktop computers can generally be repaired and upgraded by local computer shop using standard off-the-shelf components. So it is easier to upgrade a desktop computer. Then laptops are more difficult to repair. So that is the disadvantage of the laptop. And you may need to return them to the supplier or manufacturer for repairs. You have the option whether you use a desktop or a laptop for your business. Then advantages of laptop. So laptops are particularly suitable for salespeople making a client visit and for employees who work from home or out of the office regularly. So that's the advantage. It is portable. You can bring your laptop anywhere. Then if your workers occasionally need to work in the office, you should consider using a docking station. So you can bring your laptop in any part of the office, or you can have a small space in the office when you have your laptop. Then using docking stations that are permanently fixed to your desktop and have a feature that locks laptops securely in place. Then, storing laptops in a secure room or cupboards, especially if you're leaving them unattended overnight or for the weekend. So that's to avoid the laptop theft and security issues. So you can store the laptop in a docking station, or you can store laptop in a secure room to avoid theft and to resolve some security issues. Okay, so let's proceed with the printers. So printers are essential for most businesses. So there are three basic types of printers. We have the laser printers, which produce color or black print and are suitable for most office printing needs. So they are more expensive than other types of printers, but are most economical if you all do lots of printing and are relatively fast. The next one is the inkjet printers. It can carry out either color or black printing. So some inkjet printers can produce photography quality images. Although cheap to purchase, inkjet supplies like paper and ink make them expensive per page printed. They are also slower than comparable laser printers. So the performance, that's the difference, and of course the output when it comes to laser printer and the inkjet printer. So laser printer prints efficiently. It prints faster compared with the inkjet printers, but of course both of them do printing color and black. And then we have also the impact printers such as the dot matrix printers are now rarely used except for special purposes. So dot matrix printers is usually used in debug, wherein they use duplication of printing. So for printing forms used with accounts packages. So you can only see dot matrix printers usually at debug. Then let's proceed with multifunction devices. So for the multifunction devices, so a small office usually needs a printer, a copier, a fax machine, and perhaps a scanner. So this can be combined in one multifunction device. So they have several advantages. We have the first one, the total cost may be lower than the combined cost of separate units. So if you purchase a scanner, a photocopier, a printer in a separate device, so it is more expensive compared with purchasing a 3-in-1 device. And then of course, it can save floor and desk space. Then there is less to install. You can only install one device in one computer. Okay, so difference between a network server and a desktop PC. So a small server might look similar to high-end desktop computer, but the machines are designed for very different tasks. So servers store data and application that many different people in your business share and use. So if you need installer of the Microsoft Office, you can have it through sharing in the server. So a desktop PC is designed for one person with a simple operating system that runs single user applications such as a word processor or a web browser. Then a server runs a specialized operating system designed to support multiple users. So it is capable of running multi-user applications such as the shared calendar and programs, databases, customer relationship management software, enterprise resource planning. So that is server. Okay, so let's proceed with the hardware, installation, and maintenance and support. So a single computer can usually be set up and operated by someone who is not an IT expert. However, unless you have in-house expertise, you may need external help too. When it comes to install more complicated systems such as server, client, or peer-to-peer network. Then train your staff on using the equipment. And of course, maintain and service your equipment regularly. So you need the service of the IT expert.